Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to another Eidolon hunting video. For today's video, I'm going to be going over all the equipment you want to pick up for the Eidolon hunts. Now, what do I mean by equipment? I'm going to be talking about the Arcanes, Archwing, gear, and companion you're going to want during the Eidolon hunt. Now, trust me, I know this might not sound like a very exciting video, but a lot of the stuff I'm going to be going over will greatly increase your efficiency at which you do the hunt, meaning that you're going to get more caps in and more Arcanes and focus. And while I wouldn't call anything I'm about to go over absolutely necessary to do the hunt, I'd highly recommend you pick up as much of this as possible, as it's going to save you both time and energy. Like, literally, it's going to save your Warframe's energy. And honestly, the reason I'm making this video first is that I don't want to have to go over each of these mechanics every time I make an Eidolon hunting video. I'm definitely not going to ignore them in future videos, but this is probably going to be the only in-depth look at each of these mechanics. Alright, but now that the intro's out of the way, let's start by going over the Arcanes you're going to want for the Eidolon hunts. Hopefully this should come as no surprise to you, but you're going to want Arcane Nullifier. Arcane Nullifier is the absolute best arcane you can use during the Eidolon hunts, and that's because it allows you to ignore the magnetic procs that the Eidolon causes during its energy spike phase. Which is this, in case you didn't know. The Eidolon does an energy spike after every time you break a limb, and you're going to want this arcane so that you can simply transfer out of your operator and crouch in void mode to avoid the damage. However, if you don't have Arcane Nullifiers equipped, your frame is going to be affected by magnetic procs, which, if you didn't know, cause your frame to lose energy. Every time an Eidolon goes down, 5 pulses of magnetic energy will go out, each of which will cause your frame to lose energy over time. Which quite often means that if you get hit by these procs, your Warframe is going to lose all of its energy. These pulses will also deal damage if you're still in your Warframe, so that's why we transfer out and hide in void mode during this phase. Because that way your Warframe is immune, and with Arcane Nullifiers equipped, it's not going to lose any energy. Running out of your energy can be one of the most frustrating parts of the Eidolon fights. It doesn't matter what frame you are, you're always going to want to have at least some energy. And because for the hunts you're going to want to run either Unairu or Madurai, you're not going to have any of the energy regen that Zenerik gives you. A max rank Arcane Nullifier will typically run you about 70 platinum on PC. And you're going to want to run either 1 max rank, 1 rank 0 to give you 100% magnetic resistance, or a rank 1 and a rank 2. It's just whatever you have available to you or you want to buy. Over your hunts, Arcane Nullifiers are going to drop anyways, because Nullifiers are a pretty common drop, and you can then just sell the extra ones that you get from the hunts themselves. But if you don't have or want to buy Arcane Nullifiers, there are a couple other options available to you. The first one I'll mention is an Ancient Healer Specter. This is a piece of gear that allows you to deploy an Ancient Healer on demand, and while you're affected by the Ancient Healer, your Warframe won't be affected by the mag procs. I would say Ancient Healers are a good bridge from having no Arcane Nullifiers to having a maxed set, but they're definitely not nearly as sustainable as just having the Nullifiers on your frame. If you want to know where to get these Spectre blueprints, you can purchase them from the New Lokia Syndicate for 2500 rep, or you can get them as drops when the New Lokia sends Ancient Healers to kill you. The next two most common ways to avoid the magnetic procs are either by Heroes 4 or Oberon's 2. If your Warframe is standing in Oberon's grass while the energy spike occurs, it won't be affected by the magnetic procs. Similarly, if you're affected by Heroes 4, you will be immune to both the damage the energy spike causes as well as the magnetic procs. While both of these are good options, even if you have a Hero or an Oberon in your group, I would still recommend running the Arcane Nullifiers, because if they mistime their abilities, or you're not in range of them, you're still going to get affected by the energy spike and lose all of your energy. I will say that if you're in a very organized group and you practice the Eidolons a lot, you can use Hero or Oberon to ignore the magnetic procs in lieu of Arcane Nullifiers. But if you're good enough at the fights where you no longer need the Arcane Nullifiers, then this video probably isn't for you anyways. And while we're talking about energy, the next piece of gear I want to talk about is the Squad Energy Restore. You really want to have a few of these built for the Eidolon fights. Not only will these restore energy to you and your teammates, it'll also restore energy to your operator, which means you can stay in void mode for longer, as well as your Archwing, which I'll go into why that's important in a little bit. Since you're probably not going to be running Zenerik, energy restore pads are going to be your main source of getting energy back. Trust me, I'm the first person to dismiss using energy pads in normal gameplay. as I prefer to just pick up energy orbs or use a focus school like Zenric. But for the Eidolon fights, having energy restores is a lifesaver, and they're really going to increase your quality of life while doing the hunts. Similar to that, if you have any trouble with ammo or with health, you can also run the squad health restores or the squad ammo restores as well. If your damage is high enough against the Eidolons, running out of ammo is not going to be an issue. But if you're just starting out, making a few ammo restores will save you a lot of headaches. And then health restores are good if you have any issues with survivability during the fight. But hopefully you should be using your operator most of the time and that won't be an issue. If you don't know where to get the blueprints for these restores, you can purchase the small blueprints from the regular market. The medium squad restore blueprints can be purchased in your clan dojo, and the large squad restore blueprints can be purchased from syndicates for 25,000 rep apiece. As I mentioned in my previous video, there's a lot of random bullshit during the fight that's going to deal damage to your operator and your Warframe. So having some extra options for both health and energy restore are just good. And then finally for gear, I want to talk about Archwing launchers as well as Ciphers. Both of these are extremely useful for the fight. The launchers will allow you to call down your Archwing on the plains, enabling you to fly around at will. And DE did just announce that these are going to be single use only eventually, so you won't have to craft additional charges in the future. But at the moment we're stuck with it as it is. And the Ciphers allow you to hack the lures immediately instead of wasting time hacking them yourselves.
Those devices draw energy from bomb ballists. Make use of them.
And finally we come to our companion. For the Eidolon fights, you really want to be running an Adarza Kavat with the Cat's Eye buff. What Cat's Eye does is it gives you a 60% base crit to all of your weapons, but most importantly for this fight, it's going to give you base crit to your sniper rifle. So if we take a look at my Lanka build, you can see that I have 62.5% crit chance. If I get the Cat's Eye buff, that buff is going to be added onto that, meaning that my crit chance will go from 62% to 122%, making the Adarza Kavat one of your best sources for crit in the fight. Now, unfortunately, because we're not using a Sentinel here, we're not going to have Vacuum to suck up all the ammo and the energy orbs that drop on the ground. But trust me, the crit chance is worth it. Even when the cats die, and they die a whole lot, they are dumb as bricks, and they'll stand underneath the Eidolon and just get their heads smashed in. The extra crit that the Adarza gives you is still worth it. I wouldn't prioritize resurrecting them over other important parts of the fight, but if you get a chance maybe during an energy spike, it's always worth picking up the Adarza Kavats. As you can see, I have mine basically fully modded, and it still dies all the time. There's just no way you're going to be able to prevent it from dying 100%. But having some of the mods like Link Armor, Link Health, or Link Shields will decrease its downtime a little bit. The other great thing about Cat's Eye is that if you're within 25 meters of an Adarza Kavat when it procs, you or your teammates will receive the Cat's Eye buff from the Adarza Kavat, even if it's not your own. However, if you are affected by multiple Cat's Eyes at the same time, they don't stack, so you're just going to get 60% crit even if you have 2 or 3 on you at once. I hope that helps you guys understand why the Kavats are so important. Now I want to look at the Archwing build. The Eidolon Hunts are probably the only time where min-maxing your Archwing is actually useful. Not in Archwing missions for Eidolon Hunts in the plains. And that's because by min-maxing your Itzal, you're able to traverse the plains in an instant. This is useful for things like picking up lures or getting to the Eidolon quickly. If you've watched my other videos, you'll see that I pick up the lures extremely quick. And that's by using two things, my Itzal and Ciphers. So let's start by looking at the Itzal's abilities. Itzal's first ability, Blink, is the one you're going to see me use the most, and that's the one that teleports your Itzal based on its ability range. With the range mod equipped, your range is going to be boosted to 640 meters per cast. This makes getting across the plains a snap. Itzal's second ability, Penumbra, creates a cloaking field around you and your allies when activated. Being invisible while picking up lures can be fairly useful, but the main use of this ability is actually just stopping your Archwing in place. Archwing has famously bad controls, so by using this ability, we can stop our momentum, which gives us more control with the Archwing. Personally, I think of the invisibility as an added bonus, but it's definitely useful. And then the last ability you're going to see me using is Itzal's third ability, Cosmic Crush. What this does is it basically vacuums everything into Itzal and deals some damage to it. During the hunt, you can use this to suck up the Eidolon Shard and Arcane that drop when the Eidolon is captured, which then allows you to move faster from the Eidolon going down to summoning the next one. Itzal's fourth ability isn't really relevant to the fight, so I'm not going to go over it in this video. But hopefully that at least gives you an idea why Itzal is so good for the plains of Eidolon. And it's not just the Eidolon hunts, you can use this in regular gameplay as well. If you don't have Itzal yet, you can again pick this up from the Tenno Lab and the Clan Dojo. But now that I've talked about the abilities, let's look at how I modded it. So for mods on my Itzal, I simply have some health, armor, shield capacity, with efficiency and ability range. as well as Hyperion thrusters for some flight speed. Honestly, the two most important mods here are System Reroute and Energy Amplifier, because they boost the range and lessen the ability cost of your Itzal's blink. If you want to min-max your Itzal, I'd really recommend picking up these two mods. But again, this is really the only place you're going to use Archwing to its fullest extent, so please be aware that using these is fairly niche. But as you can see, when you use the Itzal and Ciphers together, you can hack the lures extremely quickly. And I've had a couple questions about how I'm able to hack the lures without clicking Use Cipher at the bottom of the screen. And that's simply by using the default keybind for Use Cipher, which is why on PC. I'm not sure if you can do this on console or not. I haven't tried it. But you can certainly click Use Cipher yourself or hack it the normal way. It's just a little slower than what you see here. Typically, I'll dash around using Itzal's 1 blink, then stop my momentum by using its 2 penumbra, which I then take the time to shoot the lure, blink down to it, and hack it quickly. If you take the time to learn where all the lures spawn, then you can use this to quickly pick up 5 or 6 lures all at once. And this is also where having the energy restore pads comes in, because if you're constantly using your Archwing's energy, you're going to run out pretty quick, especially if you don't have the increased efficiency mod. So that's why I said earlier that having the energy restores with the Archwing is very useful. And the last thing that I want to mention about gear is that at least on PC, you can quick bind this to other keys. So as you can see here, I've bound the gear I use most often to my F keys. I'm not experienced on console, so I'm not sure if you can do this or not. But if you are on PC, it does help a little bit to not bring up your gear wheel every single time you want to use a piece of gear. But that's going to do it for me today, guys. I hope you found this video helpful, and if you did, I'd appreciate it if you leave a like. My next Eidolon video is going to be going over how to strip the Eidolon's armor and why it's important to do so. So until then, hope you guys are all doing well.